Hello, everyone. Welcome into our awesome snack break today. On behalf of Library Makers, I'd like to welcome you all to our little micro learning community event today. My name's Coley Mixon. I work at the Berkeley Public Library out in California, and more importantly, I am a member of our events and programming team here at Library Makers. This is my first year being part of the events and programming team, and I'm super excited. And if you do want to learn more about getting involved in Library Makers, do let us know. We like to welcome everyone to these events, whether you're just getting started in making or you've been a maker leader for many years. Uh, One other note on this event is that we will be recording it today. So you can always come back if you learn something great or share out with other colleagues as well. So before we do get started, you might see a poll that is currently open and active. If you haven't had a chance to fill that out, please do. Helps us understand where you all are coming from and getting to know our library maker community more. I would like to introduce our amazing presenters today. We've got Maya Berry and Patrick Cook, who are both library maker community members and leaders that are going to be telling us about the new pilot program, which is Wiki for Makers. And if you all are wondering, what is Library Makers? Here's another kind of quick slide that tells you a little bit more about how you can get involved and where you can find us. We connect and support library maker staff of all levels of experience. We equip and advance library professionals to be innovative. We're trying to create a safe and welcoming space for library maker staff to ask questions, share knowledge, find a mentor, develop skills, exchange ideas with a diverse group of professionals, and recognize the strength of each member here of you all joining us. And I think the Library Wiki Maker project will especially be highlighting this sort of work. So I'm very excited to learn. So thank you all, and let us know if you have questions, drop them in the chat. I'm going to mute myself for now so I can pass it off to Maya and Patrick. So thank you both.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to share the presentation here. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so Wiki for Makers is a pilot project, and we are just kind of testing it out and seeing where we can go. It's a resource, a tool that we have decided would be helpful for members of our community and the library makers community specifically, but any making librarian or making staff member anywhere, whether they're a member of the library makers community specifically or not, would be able to find this sort of public-facing wiki and access what we have there. But for our own introductions, my name is Patrick Cook. I have my LinkedIn profile there. If you feel interested in connecting with me over there, feel free to do so. But I'm a making librarian, which at my library system, we have a department committed to making equipment and making programming. And we take care of, all the regular equipment you would expect. And our department is actually very new, and that's one of the reasons why I was interested in this wiki option, because it can be really challenging to find library-oriented making programs, library-oriented making equipment reviews, that kind of thing. And so I kind of thought what would be nice that I wish would have been there and wasn't, but so I kind of decided to try and make our own a little bit with the help of the library makers community. But yeah, Maya, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Maya and I work at Northwest Mississippi Community College, which is a small rural college just about 45 minutes south of Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a digital librarian. So that means not only do I do Makerspace, I do take care of our website. I do a lot of other things. If any of you work in a small library, you know that you are doing reference, you're doing Makerspace, you're doing circulation. Sometimes you help clean up if you need to do that. But primarily my job is making, we have 3D printer, we have a silhouette machine, and we are trying to grow our makerspace because our students are really into it and they really enjoy it. We are going under a 2-year renovation that's almost over. You can see these lovely boxes behind me are full of our maker equipment that we will be hopefully moving into the new library in the next couple of weeks. But I was so glad when Patrick introduced his idea of the wiki for, and I'll tell you more about this too, as being a solo maker librarian, that just having this list of resources that I can pull up will just be so helpful. So we'll talk more about that in a second, though, whenever you're ready, Patrick.
Yeah. So yeah, the wiki, as we said, is publicly available. You can find it. I have the link posted there if you want to type it in, or if you're on a mobile device and you want to use the QR code, you can do that too. But just the kind of general approach that we're going for is just a place to store knowledge related to making equipment, making software, even things like programming or policies
You're looking
or
back for something?
furniture
Keep
or
it
any of
light
that
out.
kind of thing. And a place to find advice. One thing I noticed is that in the library makers community, which is set up kind of like a forum, if you've never been there, people will post a question, uh, and then they will get responses to that question. And then a week later, that question is buried under, a week's worth of more questions and answers and people looking for advice and all that. So I kind of thought it would be nice to have a place to put those answers where people can go back and refer to what was already discussed or knowledge that was already put out in the world, and they don't have to ask again when the question might have already been answered last week or 2 weeks ago or a month ago, who knows. So the wiki is kind of an option for that. And then, of course, a place for reliable reference. One of the problems with the making uh, position as a making librarian is that everything changes all the time. I remember just last week, uh, our Cricut software updated, and now all of the Cricut options are in different places than they were when I started working on Cricut stuff a month ago, So like everything moved around to somewhere else, and so all of the references and everything are now suddenly outdated, and you you have to go through and look at everything all over again, which is fine. But it can be really challenging to find current information about whatever equipment, whatever software, whatever thing that you're trying to learn more about when you search it online in the open web and get information from 5 years ago that doesn't work anymore. So we wanted something a little more reliable than all of that. Um, so, instead of the answering the how question of how to contribute, we wanted to focus a little bit on the why should you.
Oh, I think Patrick may have gotten dropped. Let me see if I can share the slides and hopefully he can. Oh, yeah, I think he's frozen.
Am I back?
Yes, you are back.
Hey, all right. Internet. Okay.
Right.
Anyways, so the why question uh, of the wiki and why it's a useful resource, and why we need people to really like actively contribute and add their knowledge to our overall collection of knowledge. Like I found this information about Wikipedia because I'm like, that's the biggest wiki, right? Everybody knows that. And I was like, how many people are actually doing edits and additions on Wikipedia? And I tried to hunt down some statistics on that. And I found like there's a contribution ratio of about 10 per 6,400 pages for English Wikipedia. And so like I'm like, oh, that's not very many people working on that many pages. So I'm thinking and hoping that we can do better than that as a committed group of information professionals, that maybe we can pull up a little better than 10 per 6,000. But we're trying to get these helpful resources, because a lot of it is going to be niche to library making and connected to us as library professionals. We're going to have a lot of like peer-reviewed content, right? Because it's other librarians and other members of making communities that are going to be looking at the articles and making edits and additions. And we can update it quickly when things change, like my Cricut example. We want to move it and make something different. We can do that really easily on a wiki. And we have kind of a centralized information hub for all of our different content. And you can also just discover new things that you didn't know you needed to know, which I'm sure we all like to do. But yeah, like I said, we need contributions. All kinds of contributions are welcome. We we want things like instructions for programs, recommendations for what kinds of equipment you use or what kinds of equipment not to use, as is also commonly the case. Samples for like policy, we get those kinds of questions a lot in the library makers community of like, I want to, or we're getting a new laser cutter. What kinds of materials should we allow people to cut? I see that question probably once a month over on Library Makers. So anything we can have around that would also be great. And we're always open to whatever other stuff we didn't think of, to make additions to our wiki. So anything you can think of is something we probably want.
And as I alluded to in my introduction, as somebody who runs the makerspace by themselves, I get so jealous when I go to conferences and there are makers that have multiple team members that they get to bounce ideas off of each other. And, if you get sick, you don't have to shut the entire makerspace down for a week. So I really want to hear from you all on the wiki. If you are the member of a team, let us know what resources help you out, because that helps us solo maker space staff members help out so much just by hearing what you have to contribute. And also, if you are by yourself like me, just having this wiki is just so helpful. So if you all have resources that you can add, please do. Oh, my light went out because I haven't been moving. I just would really hope that you do contribute if you can, to the wiki, because there are so many librarians like me across the country that are doing this by themselves and they just need this help. Next slide, Patrick. And this is along the same vein, but if you are in a small and rural library, if I want to talk to a maker peer at a different community college, I have to drive at least 3 hours down the road to get to someone else in Mississippi. So I can't
go into the interior room.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I can't just jump in my car and go visit cool new libraries with their maker equipment. So having this wiki is just a great virtual way for me to experience different types of materials, different policies, different equipment. The wiki is also available 24/7. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I have these great ideas for my library, like at, Sunday at 2 a.m. or something like that. So I could just get online on the wiki and see that. So again, if y'all have anything that you can contribute, please do. That will really help us out. I have a very limited budget as well. So if you all say this equipment is much better than this equipment, then that is just so helpful for us as well.
Yeah. I think kind of on that note, I'm particularly passionate about things like open source software or free alternative solutions to expensive software. And so that is one of the things on the wiki right now that is very fleshed out, just because that's something that I'm interested in. And so, trying to control our costs as much as we can is always appreciated. So cheap stuff is good. But yeah, several different pathways to help us out. You can send us your documents directly, either myself or Maya or probably anybody in the community building committee, really, at the end of the day. And you can do that right through the Library Makers chat. It has the little chat bubble in the corner. If you haven't joined Library Makers yet, feel free to do so, and then you can send us stuff over there directly. You can send us suggestions, like maybe you don't have a document, but there's something you are thinking about or something you're really interested in that you want added. Send it to us, and we'll see if we can find something to put up on our wiki about it, kind of on your behalf. And then of course you can go there, and the wiki is open, so you can go and join the wiki and contribute stuff directly, whether that's instructions for a program you just ran and you want to post them there. That would be great. We would take that. Or you have a piece of equipment in your makerspace that you really love and you don't see on the wiki, again, add it. Perfect. We would love to see it. The more random bits and bobs that you feel like are worthwhile and something that you engage with at your job, they're probably a good piece of information to have on the wiki. And yeah, you don't need our permission to add anything there. You can go, you can add it anytime, day or night, whether anybody is awake or not, or responsive to messages on Library Makers or whatever. You can add it, and that's where the peer review thing comes into play. Because like, if you add something and it's like, oh, I really like the information, but you could add a link here, and so then somebody can come back and add a link later or whatever. It's open, ready for people to engage with. But yeah, so I believe we had the link in the chat as well, but here's another one, and another QR code for the actual wiki to go over there and check that out if you haven't seen it yet. You'll notice, there's not a ton of content there. Most of it was filled in by me and Maya. So, two people working with some random scraps of time here and there to put something together. There's some sections of it that we don't really have much of anything included. I think policies is one of them. There's a couple like equipment items, but it's not nearly as developed as like the software side of things. And you can kind of see like some of the general categories and uh, the general kind of ideas of what we were hoping to include. And that's not all inclusive, right? There's always room to add or edit or change things. If some other organization makes more sense down the road, we can do that in a wiki in a way that you can't do in some other platforms. All right. So yeah, general questions and discussion here. We would love some feedback about anything that people would like to add. And we would love to answer any questions people have about the space and whatever you got. If anybody has questions, you can type them into chat or you can unmute and ask them directly as well.
While we're waiting for a question, I just wanted to say also, I appreciate that the wiki does not have any ads, because as a solo librarian, I will go look up something, and then you'll just get ads for all the random things, bits and bobs that goes along with that for like a year. So thank you, Patrick, for finding an
Yeah,
ad-free
yeah.
platform.
Yeah, I chose the Mirahese platform. I looked around a little bit for wikis. Obviously, I didn't want to have to pay like a subscription fee or anything like that. And they are a nonprofit wiki, which is an interesting model. But it fits pretty nicely with libraries and library users. So, that was the one that stuck. So and it is pretty nice that there's no ads or whatever. So we aren't getting random junk in the way of our actual information that we want to share.
The video pop-ups, I hate those with a passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks so awesome. So Patrick and Maya, if folks wanted to directly contribute to the wiki, they could create an account on that wiki site, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
That is
No.
correct.
The accounts are free. It's just an email and password situation. It's not super complicated. I think you can set up multi-factor authentication um, if you want to. I don't remember if it's a requirement or not. It's been a while since I made my account.
I
But
don't think it
it's a
asked me for
easy
that
system.
because I just logged in today with my username and password, so I don't
Okay.
think I
All right.
set that up.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think it's an option if you want it, but Wiki edits not particularly
Yeah, please don't
hard to
drop your
do.
bank account numbers in there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know.
Uh, Kelly here. One question I had was like I know a lot of like some wikis, especially Wikipedia, are like more like, hey, you need to cite your sources. Like when you're putting in information, is that something that that we're going to require for some of the pages? Or I mean, obviously, we're librarians, we cite our sources, so I just
Yeah.
didn't know like if that was going to be like a requirement or anything on that
I
line.
wouldn't Yeah, I wouldn't say it would be a requirement. I would say it would be encouraged if you got the information from somewhere else to, include that citation of where you got it. But I do think some of our content is going to be like personal experience as much as anything else, which is hard to cite. So you cited by, you know, me, the person writing this right now. And so, there's going to be some of that in there just as by the nature of what we're doing. But obviously, the more citations you can include, the more information you can add, the more helpful that's going to be to other people from other places and in other times, which sounds weird to say, but for all those time travelers out there.
Well, as you pointed out, things just change so quickly. The different software updates, like you said, and then everything changes. All the buttons go all over the
Yeah.
place.
We we were like, did something go wrong with our Cricut account? Did we not renew our Cricut Access subscription? What's happened? And then it's like, no, they just moved all the buttons and options into like a side menu. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know why they did that, but all right. Yeah, Sarah asks about user agreements for orientation, for tools, that kind of thing. Yeah, lots of libraries approach these things differently. And I think some of that is going to come down to the specific library and what their local laws and policies and ordinances and things are, which is why it would be great to have a wider variance of what kinds of policies people find helpful in their library spaces. We have a space in the wiki for agreements and policies and any of that kind of stuff. I don't know that we have anything populated in there at the moment. But if anybody has that kind of information, we would love to have it so we can add it up there as sample policies. Job openings would be cool. I'm not sure how to integrate that, uh, but it would be cool.
Yeah, I
I'd
agree
have to
just
think about
because
that one.
of the timeliness, would someone be able to put it up and then take it down right away? Would we want those floating around for 5 years? You know what I mean? Like just the job
Yeah.
thing. So I'm not.
Yeah, that would be a challenge. Unless we can integrate something else from a different platform, like if we're to find job openings, we could definitely add something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point,
That'd
Jack.
be
For
an
sure.
easier shift.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good idea, Jack. Yeah, for images of projects, you can add images to the wiki. Absolutely. So if you have project files, like documents or images or any of that kind of stuff, you should be able to add it in there. Which, it's just adding it in however you want it to look. And I know a lot of us tend to make things like as Google Docs or Word Docs, or that kind of thing. I haven't thought about it until just now, but I bet there's a way to integrate those documents, even if it's just like a link to the document or something like that.
Yeah.
It would be helpful to have that option. Let's see.
Ooh, That's a good one. Makerspace location page. I wonder if we could get some kind of map going on.
I think, yeah, I was thinking about that one for a while, because somebody in the library makers community asked about that, and it might have been Jack, actually. I don't recall. But yeah, I was thinking about that one, and I'm okay, yeah, and I'm not sure how to integrate it. It would be a cool idea. I know that whoever it is that runs Make Magazine, I think they're called like Make. It's something super simplistic, but they have like a map of maker spaces on their website. Um, and so, I know it's possible. I just have to figure out how to do it. But it's a good idea. And if worst case scenario, maybe if we could just add a list, right? A spreadsheet of
Mhm.
here's places that have this equipment, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, that would be a cool addition. Absolutely.
You could also link all the libraries too that people are a part of with their like maker page, if that's what you're doing too, if you're making that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many great ideas. So y'all are gonna help us with this, right?
We're gonna do the classic thing, which always happens at my library anyway, where if you bring up a great idea, then they say, that's a great idea. Go do that.
Right?
And suddenly it becomes your project, even though you were just thinking out loud. So, so now we're counting on everyone. Go add whatever it is you want to add. Let's scroll back up here, make sure I didn't miss anything. What should a maker librarian, maker staffer have skill-wise? Yeah, that would be a good thing to have in the maybe like a jobs section. Let's see.
Staff training, that's interesting too. But the job skills, I kind of fell into this. My job evolved over time. I started as just a reference librarian, and then we got a 3D printer one day, and they're like, "Oh, you're in charge of making now."
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the benefit of the wiki and as well, is like that is what it comes out to be a lot of times for a lot of library staff. And that's what I've heard from multiple people is like the library got a grant for technology and now we have this technology and now I'm the one in charge of it because they said so. And it's like I wasn't interested in this, but here I am. How often do you meet? Is this in reference to something? Um, I don't have we don't have like a set meeting time just because we're part of the library makers group. So a lot of times our interactions take place there. And if people have questions or something they want to include, we would do that more social aspect over on Library Makers. That's more what that platform's about.
Oh,
But
that is a great idea if with capacity expansion, if we could have like bi-monthly just hangs, which could just be like wiki hacking.
yeah, um, yeah, I never really thought about it, but yeah, I'm open to it
Yeah,
for
me
sure.
too.
Wiki hangs. Yeah.
And I do see that it's 11:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which I think is 2:30 p.m. out on East Coast.
Mhm.
So I want to respect everyone's time who's joining us, and particularly Maya and Patrick. Thank you both so much for assembling the Wiki Hub and sharing your knowledge. Do you all have any last minute thoughts to share? Or
Um, Nothing
Yeah.
particularly pressing. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming in. Thank you to Library Makers Organization for kind of giving us the platform and space and time to uh, give any kind of actual credentials to this idea. So we can maybe have something for other people to interact with. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And if you all who have joined us have a chance, there's a link from Library Makers community to a Google Doc form. That just helps us get to know you all and hear feedback on how we can best kind of serve each other as community members. So yeah, thank you all.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.